aka Heather Joy. You guys aboard of the lifeboat. Let's see here. Before I get started, you run through the rules we have here. Just, I know most of you are sick of hearing this, but we do have new members coming in, so. Rule 1, please, no politics. Please don't discuss politics in the live chat and the comment section. There's a little bit triggering right now. We'll leave that to Tommy. He's good at it. He knows when it's appropriate, and yeah. The second one, please. This no overbearing religion. This is not a religious channel. It's fine to say, hey, I'm going to pray for you, or make statements like, I couldn't have found sobriety without my faith. That's all fine. Just don't shove your religion down anyone else's throat. Let's just be kind and respectful of one another's beliefs. The third one, no cursing. Please don't swear in the comment section and the live chat. We all slip up from time to time, but we're trying to keep this a nice place. And as Tommy always says, if you can't control your mouth, then you can't control your life. Number 4, no trolls. There's just absolutely no room on this boat for mean people. And if you're going to be mean, you're going to get tossed. Anyway, also, people, if you wouldn't mind, please, if you haven't hit that like button, exit out of the live chat right now and give that little button a love tap for me. And then come back in and participate in the live chat, because I love it. We all love it when we have everybody participating. It brings so much to the crew. And yes, subscribe if you haven't done so, please. Anyway, you see who is here, and Balake is here. And Barela, hey Matt, Allison, Kelly, Seventh, Charlie, Rick. Let's see, John Doe's here. Good morning. And Full of Hope. And Mind Games. And let's see who else. Mark Andrew Demarest is here. Good morning to you. Patricia, welcome. Falcha, excuse me. Good to have you guys all here. And if I have missed someone, I apologize. Let's see. Boy, this live chat goes all the way back. Okay, anyway. Oh, and Cheryl, good morning. All right. We have an interesting one for you guys today. What I meant in the thumbnail when I wrote something about the abuse of drugs that you probably haven't heard of before. You've heard of the drugs before. You just haven't, most of them you haven't heard of the abuse of these particular drugs. At least most of these I hadn't. And tell you what, the first one really surprised me. And I just want to warn you guys, my printer scanner thing crapped out on me. So I'm having problems with the driver. So all of my notes are here. So you're going to have to put up with me looking down from time to time instead of looking forward, because I couldn't put them up on the screen this morning. Anyway, before I get started, though, I had some drug news I wanted to share with you guys. There were a few things I just found interesting. I always, Google pays close attention to everything that you look up. And so, if you look through your Google feed, it's always going to throw things at you that it thinks you might find interesting. And I find a lot of things that way. The first one, I hadn't heard about this before. But Oakland, California is becoming quite a place. For Kelly's boy one. Oh boy. What's going on with my computer here? Get one. This one is for Tommy and for me. Anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, okay. Anyway. Oakland, California, yes. It is now known as not the land of milk and honey, but the land of milk and fentanyl. Darn it. It's becoming quite the site for drug tourism, as well as a lot of homeless are running over there and deciding to stay. And I guess there is, let's see, what is that? Fentanyl Island. It's a section in West Oakland that is between, let's see, 7th Street and Brush Street. And I guess it's pretty much an open air market. It's a safe place, relatively safe, to go there and purchase your drugs. And because of that, a lot of homeless have been attracted to the area. And in 2017, there were around 5,500 homeless in the area, and that has more than doubled since then. So it's beginning to look like a third world country, unfortunately. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I had not heard of Fentanyl Island. I hadn't heard that it was the land of milk and fentanyl before, and I didn't know it was a drug tourism site. Anyway, the second thing I learned yesterday was you guys are, I'm sure, all familiar with xylazine and how they're cutting xylazine into everything, and that is the drug that is meant for cattle and for horses. It's a sedative. I think it can knock them out as well if they give them enough of it, but it was never intended for humans. It is an extremely strong benzodiazepine, and it's being cut into everything. And because the street fentanyl only lasts for such a short time, has no legs, as Tommy says. They've been putting xylazine in it because that lasts quite a while, but it's knocking people out. You'll see. We've all seen the films and the pictures of people on Washington, and once that fentanyl high is over, and the xylazine takes over, they're out of it, and you'll see people standing but bent completely over, or sitting and bent completely over, or I've seen a lot of people that are trying to hang on to their possessions, and so they'll position themselves on top of their possessions, and then they'll pass out. Oh boy, and it's a mess. And as John Doe says, kids don't do horse trank. Exactly. It's not meant for humans. We horses, cattle, they don't have the subcutaneous fat layer that we do. And that, once that is injected, and especially if you miss your vein, it causes so much vasoconstriction. It just destroys the tissue, and people are having these horrible, these wounds that are just horrendous. It's awful. But this is what is causing people to look like zombies, basically. What I didn't realize is I had noticed all of these people that weren't, when they weren't passed out, so many of them are walking where they're completely bent over at a 90-degree angle, and they're walking like that. Here's their legs, here's their body, and then there's, they're trying to hold their head up and walk, and it's the craziest thing. It is because they have spent so much time bent over, it's permanently messed up their backs. And oh boy, guys, my heart goes out to them. If they ever get out of this alive and they get sober, they are going to have a lifetime of miserable back problems. I can't even imagine. But I didn't realize that's why they're walking that way. They have permanently messed up their backs. Good night. That disturbs me. Anyway, I have some good news though. Let me see. Let me pull up my notes here. This is about they're trying to find a better opiate, because opiates remain the best painkiller for really serious pain. The unfortunate thing is, as we know, they're very addictive. So they've been working on, a better one. And see, it's a combination of the University of Maryland School of Medicine and Washington University. They have been working on a drug that will target the kappa opioid receptors, and the kappa opioid receptors are only in your central nervous system. They're not like the mu receptors throughout our bodies that most things, most of the opiates bind to. Those are throughout our bodies, but these are only located in your central nervous system. And so they're trying to come up with a drug that will attach specifically to those kappa receptors. That way, you don't have as much euphoria produced. There's not as much risk of addiction, but they're still going to have the pain relief. Everything that they have come up with so far has unacceptable side effects, and those being depression and psychosis. So they're still working on them, but I love that, to hear that they are working on those specific receptors and that maybe there's going to be a better solution. Because you guys, the older I get, the more I know sooner or later I might have to depend on opiates again. I hope it's not till I'm 99. But, because that was my drug of choice. But anyway, I thought that was some good news. So anyway, let me get into what I wanted to talk about today. I have a list here of drugs that I'm sure you've heard of, at least most of them. But I didn't realize most of these were being abused this way. And the first one I did a little bit of a deep dive on. And if Quiet Girl, I don't know, I haven't seen her yet. She's a Kelly, so she's going to appreciate this. And Patricia, if she is Irish, which it looks kind of, I didn't actually get I think she's Irish. Anyway, Full of Hope is, of course, so she's going to appreciate this one too. Let's see. Oh, hang on here. I got really prepared for this one, guys. Let me pull this up here. Where did I put it? Let's see. Hang on here. Where did it go? Oh, you're kidding me. I didn't get that one up. Oh, yes, I did. There it is. Okay. The first one, diethyl ether, or just ether is how most people know this. I knew it as a young kid. I knew that's what we used on the old farm truck and the old tractor as starting fluid. And I remembered that sicky, sweet, sulfury smell. And I remember specifically on an episode of MASH, they had their shipment of pentobarbital, which is what they were using to knock people out for surgery. It had been stolen, and they had to rely on ether. Now, as I'm sure most of you know, ether was used as for anesthesia for a little while, but it's a pain in the butt to administer. You have to be very careful the way that you sprinkle it onto the mask, of the person that you're giving it to. And it takes anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes to knock a person out. It's just very inefficient, and it's extremely flammable. Now, I knew all of that from nursing school and from just life in general. But this is what I did not know, that it was abused. I had no idea. Why did they not? I didn't learn this in pharmacology. I didn't learn this in nursing school. I didn't learn this in nat and phys. Nothing. I was surprised. The furthest back that people can find references to diethyl ether is in a book owned by a physician named Valerius Cordus, and he was a 16th century physician. And it was describing, I believe it described how it was made and the different effects it had. But in the book, he had received this book from someone else, because in the margins were some annotations by the physician Paracelsus. And this guy, but it's weird because he died 2 decades before this 1561 text, but kind of interesting. I don't understand that. Anyway, so that's the furthest back they can trace the reference to this drug. But we know that it was created before that. But it's really gross. It is created by taking alcohol. I don't mean rubbing alcohol. I mean ethanol. It's created using, you put, this is gross, sulfuric acid into ethanol and you heat it. And that's how it's created. Ugh. I didn't know that. But it's very easy and very cheap to produce in large quantities. So, let's go to Ireland, the 1800s. Now, all of you who have studied your history, which hopefully all of you have, In the 1800s, Ireland's always been just crapped on by England, and 1800s weren't any different. They were not being fans of Queen Victoria during her reign, and during the potato famines, she was very unkind. She considered them beasts and animals, and England treated them that way. And Ireland, suffered a lot, and because of that, in the 1800s, you know how the Irish they drink their problems away, and there were some huge taxes that were placed on imported liquor, and the Irish, what else are you going to do? I mean, that was a lot how a lot of them felt. What else are we going to do? We're going to drink. So they started making ether because it was, much cheaper. And it took you a lot less time to sober up. Apparently, if there's two ways you can take ether. Of course, you can put it on a cloth and you can inhale the fumes, or you can drink it. And apparently it doesn't taste all that bad. But it gives you euphoria, gets you very drunk, but how alcohol kind of loosens your inhibitions a little bit. Ether completely obliterates them. So for the 20 minutes, it lasts about 20 minutes, and then you got to take more if you want to continue. But for that 20 minutes, I guess you are just plastered. But it became a big problem in Ireland. And I didn't realize this, and I've studied English history, and with Scotland and Ireland thrown in. I mean, I went to school for that. I went back to school after nursing school. I've studied this stuff. Nowhere did I ever read anything about ether. It became a huge problem. I mean, they were selling it in the shops in bottles, and mothers would send their sons down to the store for some, and the shopkeepers would give a little glass to the children to drink as a treat. I just blows my mind. Just blows my mind. But it had started because in the early 1800s there was a Dr. Kelly that knew about it, and he started sharing it with his friends, and pretty soon it just spread all over. But it didn't just stay in Ireland. It moved over into Northern Europe, into Russia, Poland, Finland, the Balkans. It became a big problem there too. And towards the latter 1800s, they started to put naphtha in it, and naphtha is nasty stuff. My father used to haul it to Hill Air Force Base. Extremely flammable stuff. They use it in jet fuel. I can't imagine drinking these things, but they would put it in the ether to try to deter people from drinking so much of it. But people just put sugar in it and drank it, and got on with it. So but it was a big problem. And in the 1930s, it ended up in the United States. I never heard anything about that, so I was really surprised. Anyway, there's a little history for you. I know that wasn't necessary, but I find it interesting. So there you go. Anyway, you can either drink it or you can inhale the fumes. I forgot to tell you. I thought this was. I didn't finish my history yet. Sorry, guys. It became so ubiquitous everywhere, especially in Poland, Ireland. Though there are reports in literature, apparently, that so many people, like 90% of a village or a town, would use this stuff all the time, and it comes out of your pores. And it's because it's made with alcohol and sulfuric acid. It's got the sulfur in it. It comes out through your pores, so your skin has this sicky, sweet sulfuric smell. If you know what that smells like, then you'll never forget that smell. But it would be on the skin, on the hair. It would be on their clothes. It would even be on the walls and the drapes. And no matter where you went, whether it was a church or a home or a store, doctor's office, it just reeked everywhere of ether. I was blown away. What was interesting too is the teetotalers. that wouldn't drink alcohol said that this stuff was okay, which again blows my mind. Anyway, you don't become physically dependent on this stuff. No matter how much you take of it, you don't physically become dependent on it. You're not going to go through physical withdrawals if you don't have it, but you become very, very psychologically dependent on this stuff. And it's bad stuff, guys. It, like I said, it gives you a euphoria. And some people have said it's like, wait, no, is that the other? Is that a different medication? Yes, it is. Never mind. Okay. But this stuff, with chronic use, this will eat holes right through your stomach lining. It'll kill you. You'll bleed to death. Not good. The sad thing is that it has become a little more difficult to obtain now. But it's usually just sold to labs and to universities for their labs, that kind of thing. But they try to make it a little more difficult to get your hands on this stuff because it's also used in making things like LSD and other illicit illegal drugs. But I understand that if you're persistent enough, you can get your hands on this stuff. So one of the reasons that I failed to mention at the beginning, one of the reasons I'm going over this list is not to give you guys ideas because we're all adults here. We can handle learning these things, but I want you guys to understand what is out there and what can be abused by kids, just in case you've got children or grandchildren, just so you kind of know what to look for. And if a kid's abusing this stuff, you're going to smell it. Anything else? Okay. The second one, let me see here. I should have brought my specs down so I can see this. Where did I put it? Hang on, guys. Did I not put that one on? I know I did. Oh, there it is. Okay, the next one. Dextromethorphan HBr. Most of you guys know this stuff as Robitussin. It is an antitussive. That is for coughs. It's put in all kinds of different cough medicines, NyQuil, Robitussin, all of those things. It was approved in the 1950s to be put in cough syrup in place of codeine because, codeine, of course, is an opiate and it's addictive, and they wanted to replace it. I have heard, I'm a nurse. I used to work in the hospital. I've had several physicians tell me that they don't think dextromethorphan really does anything to stop your coughs, that codeine really is the only thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but I remember a couple of physicians telling me that. Anyway, but that's why they came up with it, and it's been around since the 1950s. But and it's fine to use. It's fine, to use when you need it if you use it as directed. However, a lot of kids are taking this in big quantities. Like they'll drink a whole bottle or two, up to 25 times the recommended dose are the numbers that I was reading the other day. Not good. The effects of this stuff they're very powerful. There's some euphoria, an elevated mood, dissociation, a dreamlike state, disorientation, confusion, altered time perception, decreased sexual function, and hallucinations. And this is the one. Yes, this one. People describe this one as being drunk and stoned at the same time. And these higher doses can really impair your memory, impair your language, and it definitely impair your judgment. And, if you ever hear kids talking about robo-tripping, CCC or triple C or DXM or Dexing, those are all references to doing this drug, taking way too much of it. There's a lot of bad things that can happen from this one, usually because in in a lot of cough syrups. It's not just dextromethorphan that is in there. There's also an antihistamine, for congestion that's usually in there. And if it's something like an all-encompassing flu remedy, it's got Tylenol, acetaminophen in it too, like NyQuil, all of those types of things. They usually have, several other things in them. So if you are taking big quantities of this, you can end up fatally injuring your liver. An acetaminophen overdose, if you don't get into the ER right away and have your stomach pumped and get charcoal in all through your GI tract to absorb all of this acetaminophen, it's going to damage your liver permanently, and it can kill you. Not good stuff. So don't play around with this stuff. And that's one of the reasons why when you go to purchase this stuff, like if you are, I know at Walmart, if I have to purchase some of this for cold medicine, and I go through the self-checkout, it'll beep and somebody will have to come over to make sure that I am old enough to purchase this stuff. But it can kill you. Not to mention, but it can cause a lot of nausea, vomiting, stomach pain. If there is an antihistamine in it as well, taking antihistamines in large doses is going to mess you up. And it's also going to give you extreme constipation. And I hear it's just very unpleasant, very unpleasant. It sucks all of the moisture out of your GI tract. It'll mess you up in so many ways. But again, I want you guys to know about this stuff. If you have children or if you have grandchildren, you know what to watch for. Let's see. Okay, hang on here. Where did I put the next one? I really should have brought my specs downstairs. Here we go. The next one. Tramadol. This is the generic name. When it first came out, I don't remember when it first came out. Anyway, it has the name Ultram or Conzip are some of the name brands. And it's not an opioid, but it has very similar effects on the brain. And so it's given as an analgesic. It's kind of like an opiate agonist. It is good for moderate to severe pain. And it used to be just, it is a prescription only medication. It used to be unscheduled, but now it is on the narcotic schedule. And if your doctor gives you a prescription, you have to show your ID to get it. And it gives you a very similar feeling of opiates, but it's not as strong. People, when it first came out, they touted it as one that wasn't going to be addictive like opiates, but it is addictive like opiates. Let's see. I did write that down. Okay, it did become a scheduled narcotic in August of 2014. Now, this stuff, it acts like an opiate. So, of course, you're going to have sedation, constipation. If you are taking large amounts of it, you're going to end up possibly with it giving you agitation and depression. But large amounts of this with chronic use can give you seizures, loss of consciousness, your heart rate can drop, or it can give you an irregular heart rate rhythm. This stuff can kill you with too much of it, but it is one that has been abused quite a bit, and that's why they had to put it on the narcotic schedule. I guess that's all I wanted to tell you about this one. The next one I have known about for a long time. This one is an herb. It's called kava kava or Piper methysticum. And this one is from the Pacific Islands. It's a very traditional medicine, kind of an herb. It's used traditionally, but it was also used medicinally. It is, I believe, the root and the stump of this bush. It's used to make a tea most of the time, and it's drunk at traditional ceremonies and gatherings because it's supposed to help relax you. It is very a good anti-anxiety. Um, Kind of loosens you up and helps you be more social. Um, and I have come to understand there are many different types, and some will give you euphoria, some will just relax you, some are really good for muscle tension. There are a lot of different kinds, and I know that I know it's sold to be made as a tea is one form, and that's the traditional form. But I have seen it in the health food store where I go. They have several different types, and it's the root and stump that have been powderized, and they're in little capsules, and you can take it that way. Um, Now if people would just stick to the traditional use, the every once in a while use, it wouldn't be a problem. But of course, people are going to abuse it, especially the ones, from what I understand, that give you the euphoria. Um, Problem with this one is, okay, first of all, with higher doses, it can give you hallucinations. And with chronic use, this causes liver damage. And so people that chronically use this stuff have got that yellow tinge to their skin, and usually in the whites of their eyes are yellow, and especially the bottoms of their feet will be very yellow because their liver cannot clear everything out. Um, it can give you drowsiness. It can really mess with your ability to walk. Ataxia is what that's called. And if you are using it, chronically, most people will end up with malnutrition because it really zaps your appetite. Um, I did try this once a very long time ago, and it made me so sick. Oh, gads! I see the word kava kava, and I want to puke. Oh, gads! Ugh. I'm not a fan, but it's kind of a newer thing here. It's very popular, very traditional in Hawaii, but here in the States, it's a lot of people don't know about it. But I have seen people online talking about it a lot more lately, and I didn't realize how many different types there are, and I really don't know that much about it. But the next one I do know a little more about. Where did I put it? Aha, there it is. We have talked about this one before. Tommy's talked about this one. But because there are a lot of new people, I'm sticking this one on the list because some people might not know about. A lot of people just call it kratom. It's kratom, or the official name is Mitragyna Speciosa. It is. Actually, right here, if you can see that the vein right there, that's our red vein. There are several different strains and different types. This originates from Southeast Asia. And anyway, this red vein, this stuff is full of alkaloids, which are going to give you a euphoric effect, much like opiates. Anyway, it is related to the coffee family. And in smaller doses with craft, I always say kratom. I'm just used to saying that. I can't say it the other way. But with smaller doses, it's a stimulant because it is in the coffee family. And a lot of people, I know at the gym where we go, a lot of people will use a little bit of this in the morning to get them going because it stimulates you. It's like caffeine. In larger doses, it has a more opiate-like effect. And I know that the red vein stuff is really good for pain. That's what people are saying. There are green, there's green type, the colors are referring to the color of the veins and the leaves. And it is the leaves that are used. And let's see, the green are supposed to be really good for energy. And I think the yellow are the same. And then I think there's a gold and a white. And then they start mixing them too, and there's pink and blue and like that. There's all kinds of different mixtures and things, but it is the leaves. They dry the leaves out and then they're crushed up. Well, I think you can take the actual leaves and brew them as a tea that way, and you can drink it that way. But most of the time, at least here in the States, those leaves are dried out and crushed up, and then you either put it in water and you make this nasty looking green sludge. Yeah, it makes me want to throw up just thinking about what it looks like. But people can take it that way, or I understand it tastes just nasty. And so a lot of people like to put it in little capsules and take it that way. Let's see, what do I want to tell you about this one? There are definite psychoactive properties to this, and that's why it is so popular, especially lately. And I understand that, it can be smoked as well. I know the vape shop here in town sells it, and the health food store sells it. And the guy that runs it, I know him really well, and I have begged him to take it off the shelves, but he needs the money. I understand, but I wish it flies off the shelves from what I understand. I guess a lot of people can purchase it online too, but it gives you in larger doses. It gives a euphoria. A lot of people use it as an anti-anxiety. A lot of people are saying that it's good for chronic pain, for handling the withdrawal symptoms when you're trying to get off of opiates. But this stuff is highly addictive, guys. Do not, I've seen a couple of debates online lately between a doctor and a big salesman. I've seen several debates with these two on different channels. It's not a good thing. People are getting very addicted to it, and the withdrawals are just horrible. I understand it takes a long time to come off this stuff, and ask Tommy about this. He knows a lot about people trying to come off of this stuff. It's not a good thing, and I would stay away from it. If you have an addictive personality, I would try and stay away from this stuff. Not good. It is banned in Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Tennessee, Vermont, and Wisconsin. And then in a lot of different states, in just different jurisdictions, it is also banned because there have been, where did I write that down? I believe it was, maybe I didn't write that down. Maybe I did. Let me see here. I believe the number was 44. There have been 44 deaths linked to kratom. Most of them are because it has been mixed with other things like other opiates and alcohol. Bad combination. But I think there is one or two that have been, when they did the autopsies and the blood tests, it was kratom that was in the blood of two of the people that died from this stuff. You definitely get a tolerance quickly with this stuff. And there's also been, it isn't regulated. If you buy it, you really don't have any idea what country it's come from, what condition it's been in on its way over here. There was a big salmonella outbreak a while ago, and one person died from that. A lot of people who have been hospitalized from it. Let's see. Oh, I did write down. Yes, 44 cases of death where kratom was involved. Also, a lot of the kratom, depending on where it comes from, some of the Southeast Asian countries where it's grown, the soil that it's grown in is contaminated with lead. And there is this principle in nature called biomagnification. If there's something bad in the soil like lead, nature's going to magnify it. So it's going to take, things from the soil, and the lead's going to come along with it. And if you use these leaves that the lead is in, it magnifies it, and you're going to end up with lead. You're going to end up with headaches and nerve issues if you continue to take it. Stay away from it if at all possible. And I understand too that some places actually will ferment the leaves, and that increases the number of alkaloids, which just boosts the high that you get off of it. Is this? Oh, hang on here. Okay. Okay, yes, here we go. Okay. It can cause, in large doses, it can cause, end up with sweating. A lot of people take it for anxiety, but it can actually give you anxiety when you take too much of it. Lots of stomach cramps, nausea and vomiting are a big problem, diarrhea. Huge doses, you're going to get tremors, delusions, aggressive behavior, psychotic episodes, hallucinations. None of it sounds pleasant. And as addictive as it is, I would stay away from it. But it is, if you have children or grandchildren and you find them running around with green capsules or green powder, very well could be kratom. I don't think there's anything else. Let me think. Is there anything else I need to tell you about this one? I don't know. I just know a lot of people that tout all its benefits say that it's not addictive. Baloney. You become physically and psychologically dependent upon this stuff. It binds to the MU receptors in your body, and stay away from it. I wish a lot of people, I understand. I suffer from chronic pain. I get it. There are a lot of people that depend on this stuff to get through their day, but I believe it's doing more damage than it is helping. But that's just me. Anyway, the next one. There it is. Good old Benadryl, guys. Diphenhydramine hydrochloride. Of course, we all know this one. This is one of the best antihistamines for seasonal allergies, hay fever. Good stuff that way. And it's also good for insomnia. For most people, it makes them very sleepy. And it doesn't do that to me. I think all the receptors in my body are so jaded. I take anything and they're just insulted. It doesn't make me sleepy at all, which is nice if I have allergies, which I get in the fall. Anyway, this one's abused, which I didn't realize, and it's a stupid reason. It's because it's a deliriant. Doesn't that sound fun? Let's get delirious. That doesn't sound good to me at all. But I understand. I've been in places in my life where I didn't know how to cope, and I needed a change. Well, I thought I needed a change in my consciousness. So I get it, but I look at it now and I think, why? But in big doses, of course you're going to get drowsiness, very poor coordination and ataxia. You can't move your large muscles correctly. You can't walk properly. Blurred vision, definitely confusion and hallucinations. And, I don't understand. How is that desirable? It doesn't, I don't understand that one. It can be very dangerous, guys, in high doses, especially if it's done regularly. It can increase your body temperature. It can drop your blood pressure to dangerous levels, and it can give you seizures with convulsions. And that's very, very bad for your heart. Very bad for your heart. And it's also, I can't think of the term, the class of drugs that it's in, but it's an antihistamine. So it's going to suck all of the moisture out of your gut, and you're going to have horrendous constipation. Don't do it. don't do it. And honestly, constipation, people, I think doctors are finally starting to get a clue just how bad constipation is for a person. I actually saw an article earlier this morning. It blew my mind. There was a guy who had to have 22 years worth of built up crap removed from his intestines. He was getting some things through, but if you've got chronic constipation, a lot of times it can be slime and sludge that gets stuck in your intestines that just sticks there. And it is full, your body's trying to eliminate all of the toxins that your body doesn't need. That's why you're supposed to poop every day. And most disease of all types originates in your gut from constipation. It's all of the consequences of constipation. And doctors are finally starting to pick up on this and realize that, constipation is a serious issue. It really is. Too many antihistamines, it's going to mess you up in so many ways. Don't do it. Let's see the next one. Right there. There we go. Dimenhydrinate hydrochloride, or Dramamine, the original one. This is the original one that I'm speaking of, and this is another antihistamine. They do have a less drowsy version, which is meclizine. But this one, I'm talking about the original one here. It's an antiemetic. Emetic is, emesis. Emesis is, vomit. It's antiemetic, so you don't puke. It's a really good treatment for sickness. And if any of you have taken it, it can make you sleepy. And I'm an idiot. It doesn't make me sleepy at all, which is nice because I can take it and still drive. Anyway, this one is abused for the same reason as Benadryl. It's a deliriant. And again, I just don't understand. But the reason for this one is that it's popular is because of the auditory and visual hallucinations that it creates. And if this one is abused by, recreational users, you get a lot of the same similar things, an increased body temperature, your blood pressure is going to drop, seizures, and again, the constipation. This is, most of the time, if this is abused, it's done recreationally. However, there are, in the literature that I was reading, there's a large number of psychiatric patients that are taking this in large doses because they're trying to treat their anxiety. This is not good for you. These higher doses, and especially if it's done chronically, it's going to damage your heart. It's going to damage your GI tract. And these are permanent problems. You just don't want them. Let's see. Oh, wait, I want that one. Hang on here. Let's see, where's that one? Aha, here we go. This one is propylhexadrine, Benzodrex. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this one. This is really good. It's just a little nasal inhaler that you breathe it in, and it gives you, I think, anywhere between 0.4 and 0.5 milligrams. And it's a vasoconstriction. And if you're really plugged out from allergies or a cold, it opens up the passageways. Now this one, if any of you use this one, do not use it longer than 3 days and use it only as directed, because you will end up, if you use it too much and too often, too long, you're going to end up with rebound problems, and you'll use it and then you'll end up with your nasal passages actually inflating even more, and it can become such a problem that the tissues inside your nasal cavity will become thickened and they'll block your nasal passages, and you'll have to have surgery to correct it. So don't use it for that reason. But this one really bothers me. People abuse it. They found a way to abuse this one. It came out, I don't remember when, but it replaced amphetamine sulfate, which was being used for the same thing, just a nasal decongestant. Um, this one is referred to as stovetop speed because I don't know how. I couldn't find out how they do it, but somehow people have figured out how to take, it's a cotton plug inside this little inhaler thing, and they take that cotton plug out and they either eat it, which grosses me out. They don't even mess with trying to extract the crystals, but I guess if you heat it somehow, you can extract crystals. But this stuff, it's a stimulant. And so it's going to do the things that stimulants do to you. This one, I'm going to say, is definitely an example of do not try this one at home, guys. Do not. This one, this can kill you. Psychosis. How would you like to have a psychotic break? Or a myocardial infarction? Do you want a heart attack? What about pulmonary disease or vascular disease or pulmonary hypertension or sudden death? Does any of that sound good? All of these are because it is a vasoconstriction, and it really will make your blood pressure jump up. Just don't mess with it. If you use this one, keep it from kids, especially teenagers. So not a good thing. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I gotta hurry and get through these. Okay, here's the next one. Okay, I'm sure you guys have seen this one before. This nasal spray, oxymetazoline hydrochloride. This one, again, it's a stimulant. It's very similar to the Benzodrex, the one that we just looked at. It's used as a nasal spray to treat congestion in your nasal cavities. It's also used as, I think it's in eye drops, which can be used if you've got an allergic reaction in your eyes. It's also used topically in a cream for people that have rosacea. It gets, because it's a vasoconstriction, it helps treat the redness with people that have rosacea on their skin. This one, again, only use it as directed. If you are using it for congestion, you only use it exactly how it says on the packaging, and you do not want to use it more than 3 to 5 days for the same reason that if you use it too much, first of all, you're going to get the rebound problems, and while you're trying to get rid of congestion, you just make it worse. And a lot of people abuse this one, and I could not find anywhere online where it said. I don't know if people drink it or if they just keep shooting it up their nose. But if you are abusing this one, to get the buzz, the stimulant effect out of it, it doesn't give you a particularly strong high, but it is very likely to cause psychosis. And how does this sound? Recurring hallucinations, long after you quit using it. Recurring hallucinations. That does not sound fun. And it's there's a lot of paranoid psychosis that comes from this one. Just don't mess with it. Again, heart attacks, heart arrhythmias, heart failure, extreme agitation, all come from abusing this stuff. And it's a bigger problem than I realized. Again, I didn't even realize that people were abusing it, but I just never really thought about it. With the stimulant effect that it has, of course, people are going to abuse it. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. This is definitely one to keep away from kids and teenagers as well. The next one, where did I put that one? Aha. The next one, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this one, trazodone hydrochloride. It is an SARI. Most of the time, like another name for it would be Desiril. I always forget. Anyway, it's an antidepressant, an SARI. It is a serotonin receptor antagonist and a reuptake inhibitor. Basically, it just makes more serotonin available in your brain, and it helps treat major depressive disorder. A lot of times it's also described for insomnia because it can make you very drowsy. This one is abused and misused, and a lot of times people get hooked on it because it does have a calming effect, but it definitely impairs your cognition. A lot of people, I understand, will use this recreationally, and they'll mix it with other things to intensify the high of whatever it is they are mixing with it, whether it's pills or booze or I don't know, but I understand that's why they do it. It can really mess you up. Headaches, nausea, dizziness, sweating, muscle pain, vomiting, and other gastrointestinal issues. Again, the cognitive impairment, and you end up with tingling sensations in your body. This one can be dangerous if you are taking too much for too long. And signs that people are in distress from this, that if you know someone that has taken a lot of this and taking it for a long time, and you see them with they're short of breath, their heart rate jumps up, they're going to end up with probably an irregular heart rate, chest pains, seizures. I mean, it can be very dangerous. This one is, where did I put that picture? Look at this, guys. Look at this sweet boy. This guy, his name is Bucky. He's high as a kite on trazodone. They do give it to animals because it helps calm them down, if they have anxiety from separation, or if you have to board them, or if you thunder and 4th of July, things like that. They do use this on animals, and it does make them very high. And that sweet little boy, I understand his mother had to put him in, she had to board him for a week, and he's just very, very nervous around other dogs. But I thought that was the sweetest little smile. Anyway, guys, that is, you timed this one perfectly. That is my list for today. I do have more on a list, but that's all I wanted to talk about today, and it worked out perfectly. Oh, he's somebody's dog. Who was that? It's not Face, right? Yeah. My dog takes trazodone too when people come over to the house. Aw. That's sweet. Anyway, I just wanted to see who else had jumped in here. Jennifer. Darren Huckabee. Hello. Clintman81. Hey. It looks like New Zealand. Chile. What was it? Wait, where'd he go? He's got to be here somewhere because somebody was talking to him. Scooby's here. Stop Face, of course, because I already referenced him. Who else? Seagull Rock Squat's here. Nice. Let's see. James Novak came in. If I missed any of you guys, I apologize. New Zealand Chili had got to be here somewhere. Anyway, good to see you guys here today. Thank you for joining me for an hour early in the morning. I'm still amazed that you guys get up and show up. You guys are awesome. Oh, he's not here? Oh, okay. Somebody was referring to him. I figured he must have been here. Anyway, I will most likely see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day. And again, thank you for showing up and for being here and for getting into the chat, because that's where the magic happens, is in the chat. It really is. Anyway, I love all you guys. I really do. Pray for you, every one of you, every day. You guys take care. I will most likely see you tomorrow.